Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here, and in this video I'm going to put together a complete Platinum trophy guide to Astro's Playroom. Honestly, this game is actually really good. I had a bunch of fun playing with it, but for the trophy hunters out there, you can get a Platinum trophy in about 3.5 hours if you're, pretty quick with it. It's pretty easy. Of course, it is more so just a fun tech demo style game, but if you want that Platinum trophy, then in this video I'm going to go over where to find all the artifacts, the puzzle pieces, and how to complete all the additional trophies. So everything you need to know to get a Platinum in about 3.5 hours. If you guys do enjoy this, if you find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated, and comment down below and let me know if you guys have done this already. Now, to begin with, it's worth noting that there are 4 main stages. Each stage is split into 4 separate sections. Each section has 2 artifacts and 4 puzzle pieces to find. There are also some additional artifacts in the main hub, as well as some special interactions you do in the labo room, which is where all your artifacts go. So for the purpose of this guide, we're going to start by going through the 4 stages, getting you all the puzzle pieces and the artifacts, and then we'll touch on the more specific hidden trophies after. So first things first, in the CPU Plaza, which is basically your hub world, you want to run up to the wall and pull the cables out the side. This basically begins the platforming section, and as you're jumping up the boxes, you'll get to the point where you meet your first seesaw. You want to go to the left hand side, and up there's your first puzzle piece. When you cross over the wire and you then jump up, you'll have the option to basically go to the right for the main pathway, but what you want to do first is go to the left. There is your second puzzle piece. For the third one, you simply need to make your way to the top and jump off the kind of main pillar. And then for the fourth one, what you need to do is go down the ramp to the underground section, and if you go to the bottom left hand corner, there are 3 wires or cables in the ground. Pull all 3 of them out and that will spawn the 4th puzzle piece. That is the CPU hub complete. So now we're going to turn our attention to Memory Meadow. The very first puzzle piece is incredibly easy. As soon as you start the level, you want to jump up left on the platform, cross over the wire, cross over the bridge, and there is your piece. For the second one, you want to continue progressing through the stage, cross over the wire, and then right over to the right hand side, just in front of the cloud, is the second piece. For the third one, continue throughout the stage. You get to the point where you slide down a ramp, and then instead of going up the jump pad on the left, what you want to do is go over to the sort of sandy or like muddy area, and then your puzzle piece is up in the corner. Continuing on in that area, what you want to do is jump onto the cloud, but instead of going and using it to jump across, you want to jump over to the stone wall. That'll then allow you to climb higher. You can jump up onto the raised platform, pull out the cables, and that will spawn your first artifact. And from there, you can then drop down to the platform below to get your second artifact. Continuing on a little bit to the area where it starts raining, there's a little bus stop there. If you then go and jump on the top of the bus stop, you will then jump over to the platform, and that'll be your final puzzle piece for this first area. Now moving on to stage number 2, where you are rolling around as a ball. One thing worth noting, little kind of extra thing here while we're here, you might as well get this trophy. If you go over to the right hand side and you knock over all of the pins, you get the wipeout trophy. But then over to the left hand side of this area, underneath the bridge, is your first puzzle piece. Continuing on, as you're going down the track, you want to stick to the left hand side, you can get your second puzzle piece. Next up, when there's a fork in the road, you've kind of got the rough patch to the right, and then this sort of area to the left with a skull sign. You want to go down that area there. You want to follow your way all the way across the path, trying not to fall off, and then when you get to the end, you'll get your first artifact. For the second artifact, when you cross over the area after that big bowling pin, you want to go right and navigate your way across the moving platforms. This will lead you to artifact number 2. Then, as you continue progressing throughout the stage, just before you go down the major, massive ramp, you want to go around the corner, down to this little sort of jump pad. It'll then launch you into the air, into the next puzzle piece. Then for the final one, go down the giant ramp, follow the wind, and what you want to do is then when it pushes you down the final stretch, stick to the right hand side so you take the smaller ramp, and this will then jump you over to get the final puzzle piece in area 2. Now moving on to area number 3, right at the beginning of the stage, you want to follow the kind of natural pathway, and then when you get to the top of the first stairs, you want to jump up on the left up onto this raised platform and use the little sort of windmill to clear the cloud. Now you can begin jumping across the first left platform, which holds puzzle piece number 1. Continue to the end of this secret area and you'll also uncover Artefact number 1. Returning to the main section, following along on this moving platform, you then want to jump carefully, and amidst the electrical barriers you will get puzzle piece number 2. Then as you jump across the shocking platforms, before moving forward, you want to go left, follow the little pathway down there. That will again bring you to a raised platform. Pulling out the cable on the ground will give you Artefact number 2. Progressing further along the natural pathway, in fact if you jump back over those electric platforms you can get the third puzzle piece, the one that I initially missed. And for the final one, when you get to the area with the giant stomping television, you want to jump up on the platforms and then jump back onto the television so you can then ride it up and get the final puzzle piece for this area. Then moving on to the final part of this section, you then want to go to the middle part where there's basically like you're getting bounced around this pinball area. You want to take out all the pins in the central area. Once you've taken all the ones around the kind of middle part, it will then raise up and there'll be a puzzle piece beneath it. What you then want to do in the same area is also navigate to the top left hand sort of socket. Jumping into there will then rotate you around and drop you into the second puzzle piece. From there, once you cross over, you'll come across an icy platform. You want to slow down so that when you drop down the stairs, you don't roll over it, but that is the third puzzle piece. And then now, before going forward across the natural platform, you want to take the left across this sort of tricky, precarious platform that you will probably slide off, but make your way to the very end for the first artifact. After that, once you cross over and continue forward on the natural pathway, you will find the final puzzle piece next to this middle sort of bouncing thing, so obviously watch out and make sure you don't get pushed off the side, but grab that one. And then before you continue forward to the sort of like final part of the stage, what you want to do is go left, again navigating your way across this precarious platform, and this will then take you up to the second artifact. That is now Memory Meadow complete. That will be 2 artifacts per stage and 4 puzzle pieces. Moving on from there to SSD Speedway, the first thing you want to do is turn around as soon as you spawn in and jump across these platforms, and there is a puzzle piece right behind you. Following on from there, when you get to the area where you need to jump into the slingshot, while it might be tempting to fire yourself towards the coins, what you actually want to do is shoot yourself super high and to the left so that you can fly over and land on this raised platform. Doing so will allow you to pull the cables and get your first artifact. It is worth noting, something I forgot to mention at the beginning, but do try and make sure you're collecting as many coins as possible as you're playing throughout this, because there will come a time at the end where you need to use the gacha machine and you need about 6,000 coins to get all the items. So basically, so long as you're collecting as many as you're going through, you should organically get close to this amount, so you don't need to do too much backtracking. Anyway, that to one side. Moving on, what you then need to do is go over to the second slingshot. This time quite simple, it's kind of pretty hard to miss this one. Fire through the first ring and that'll give you your next puzzle piece. Continuing on this stage, following the natural pathway, following the third slingshot, as long as you kind of go through and you avoid being hit, you should land down and collect the third puzzle piece on your way down. And then before you continue forward, what you want to do is now drop down to the left. There is a secret pathway, and this will lead to puzzle piece number 4. After that, you will cross over to the launch pad where the rocket is. What you now want to do is go over to the back of the area, smash down those boxes, pull the cables, and that'll be artifact number 2. Now moving on to the second area where you're flying around as the rocket. This one, basically what you want to do is as you're beginning the area, you want to drop down this little sort of gap beneath these PlayStation signs, so to speak. That'll be puzzle piece number 1. Following on from there, as you're flying up, before following the golden coins, you want to go to the left. Essentially, most of the time when you're looking for puzzle pieces, go off the beaten track. But for this one, what you want to do is drop down and use your jet engines to ignite the dynamite. This will then spawn your first artifact. Moving on from there, continue along the natural pathway. Now you'll see a load of dynamite on the bottom. You want to use your jet boosters to destroy this so that you can then get down beneath the rocks for puzzle piece number 2. Flying upwards, you then want to continue up, and again, once you get to this sort of fork in the road where you'll see this little sort of pipe, you want to navigate your way and drop downwards. This will then bring you across to get your third puzzle piece. From there, you can then fly up through the spiderwebs to get the second artifact. And then finally, for the last puzzle piece, once you get to the very top and you land and you get out of your rocket, you want to drop down into this room and use your boosters to smash the glass so you can get the final puzzle piece. Now continuing on to stage 3, this time what you want to do is as soon as you spawn in, watch out for the enemies. You want to drop down to where you see those little purple plants, walk around behind the pillar, and that will be puzzle piece number 1. Then once you jump up onto these raised platforms, you want to drop down to the other side, and you then want to go and look into the alcove, and that'll be puzzle piece number 2. This is also where you get the next artifact, but we'll come back to this in a little bit. Following on from there, one thing I actually missed at the beginning of the stage, but if you go and you drop down to the left, you can also do this from where you currently are. There is a platform here, charge up a spin attack, it'll raise the platform, you can drop beneath it for puzzle piece number 3. Now as you continue forward, once you get to the next checkpoint, instead of going straight ahead, which is where you need to go, you want to go right across this small platform, kill the enemy, and then basically use the windmill again to move out this platform, jump across the platform, get to the other side, and pull the cable on the giant meteor. This will give you your first artifact. Now going back to that original checkpoint, jumping across the platform where you're supposed to go, if you now use your hover attack to detonate the dynamite, it'll then break open the hole in the ground, and that'll be your final puzzle piece. From here, you can then also pull the wires to spawn the minigun, which you need to progress the stage. However, now that you have the minigun, what you can now do is drop back down to the previous location to smash that box, so you can get artifact number 2. Now moving on to the final section, again another one of these rocket sections. The first puzzle piece is pretty much impossible to miss. You'll get it as soon as you fly into the first meteor. From there, what you then want to do is fly out, and instead of going straight up, you want to go over the top and drop down to kind of get into the second meteor. This will give you your second puzzle piece. After that, as you're flying straight upwards through this structure, you want to go and navigate your way to the right in through this small hole where that sort of electrical enemy is moving. You'll navigate your way across, and that'll be your first artifact. Then as you continue throughout the stage, you'll get to this room with these spinning enemies. There is a puzzle piece in the middle of 2 of them, so grab that one carefully. And from here, before progressing upwards, you actually want to drop down and go below. This will then bring you into an icy cavern area. You can fly across there, detonate the dynamite, and you can get your second artifact. Now continue across the stage, you come across some more of these shock enemies, fly beneath them to grab your last puzzle piece, and you're then done for this stage. That is now the SSD Speedway complete. Now moving on to stage number 3, the cooling springs. First thing you want to do is run over to the far left side of the beach, go and swim across the water, go behind this pillar, and you'll find your first puzzle piece. From there, you then want to run back towards the beach. You'll see this enemy on top of this wooden crate. Go inside it for puzzle piece number 2. Then over to the right hand side of the beach, if you go and jump on these wooden platforms, navigate your way across. There are some wires to pull at the very end, and this will give you your first artifact. Back over to the left side of the beach, you can jump on the umbrellas to get on top of the big umbrella, and jumping on this will allow you to reach your next puzzle piece. And then going over to that small island you see over on the left, you can also pull that to get your second artifact. Also worth noting, I did get an extra trophy here. It's all in the mind, where you basically need to kill 3 enemies in a very short space of time. You'll probably get this just organically playing throughout the game, but basically, if you see lots of enemies together, find a time where you can just smash them very quickly. Then finally, for the last part, back over to the beginning area. If you walk across this little sort of jetty and you jump over and fly onto this middle platform, you can then pull the 3 cables to spawn the final puzzle piece in this area. Now moving on to stage number 2. For this one, before you actually get one of the puzzle pieces, another super quick trophy here, but if you go over to the left where you see those little diving boards, jump up onto the highest one, jump off of it, so that Astro will then dive into the water and you'll get the trophy Helldiver. Now into your springy frog form, you want to begin the stage, and before you begin and go right, you actually want to jump over to the left, you can smash the glass and you can get the first puzzle piece. As you continue throughout the stage, you'll get to a point where you jump across these tilted platforms. Before you continue right, which is where you're supposed to go, you want to jump back to the top left-hand corner to get your second puzzle piece. Once you ride the lily pad up to the top and the natural pathway is to the left, again you want to jump to the right to smash through the glass. This will get you puzzle piece number 3. And then as you naturally progress throughout the stage and you're climbing further up, you will get puzzle piece number 4. Shortly after that puzzle piece, as you're jumping through the glass, again before you continue right, you want to go up to the top left hand platform, smash through that glass, jump into the treasure chest, and then when you jump out that'll get you artifact number 1. And then as you get towards the end of the stage and you're jumping across these yellow platforms, again make your way to the right so you can jump up on this higher platform. That'll allow you to get artifact number 2. Moving on to area number 3, the snowy area. First things first, you want to go over to the right, pull the cable so you can get the stick of dynamite, throw it at the platform to drop it down, and jump over to this small island. That'll then allow you to pull the 3 cables, spawning a 4th cable, which will then spawn the artifact. Back to the starting area, if you run over to the left and you go behind the half igloo, you can find puzzle piece number 1. Then as you get to the central ice platform, go over to the left, jump across the PlayStation buttons, and then on the top of the mound are 2 cables, pull those ones, that will then spawn another cable, which once again will spawn your second artifact. Continuing across the stage, as you approach the icy ramp, you want to drop down to the side and go underneath this little platform. That is your next puzzle piece. Then as you progress across the icy platforms and you then go and slide down the ramp, again if you jump over to the left hand side, you can jump and get the 3rd puzzle piece. And for the 4th one, as you're going down the rapid rivers, you can basically keep to the right hand side, jump up and get the final puzzle piece. Now for the last section, you're back into your froggy form. Again, lean over to the left hand side and begin by jumping up there. That'll get you puzzle piece number 1. Then as you're crossing the water on the lily pad, make sure you time your jumps correctly so that you can land on this platform, so that you can then jump up onto the top platform to get puzzle piece number 2. Once you smash through the glass and you've worked your way up these are sort of like ice cube blocks, again jump over to the left side first because this will get you puzzle piece number 3. As you continue throughout the stage, get past the beach balls, you will then jump up on a lily pad. Again, to the right hand side, you want to jump through these little flaps first. Once you land on the platform, that'll allow you to spawn artifact number 1. Then, as you get near towards the end of the stage, you'll find this red button that spawns a lily pad. But again, before you go on that, jump to the left, through the flaps, and follow the pathway across. You'll get to the very end, and you'll be able to spawn your next artifact. Now as you work towards the final part of the stage, go up on the lily pad and again jump to the left before you take the correct platform, and that will get you your final puzzle piece. That is now the cooling springs complete. Now moving on to the fourth and final main stage, we're now into the GPU jungle. For the first part, what you want to do is go up and go to the right hand side of the area, drop down off this platform, work your way around to the side, and you'll find an area where you can use a windmill to basically push back the vines. Going in here will allow you to spawn artifact number 1. Now as you continue across the stage, jumping up onto this wooden platform and doing a spin attack will allow you to spawn a tree, which you can jump on to navigate your way across the platforms to get to your first puzzle piece. Now as you continue throughout the stage and you find this little sort of marching enemy, before you continue forward to where you're supposed to go, jump over to the left, pull the wires to drop down that platform. You can then jump up there onto this controller lead, and as you go across you can get puzzle piece number 2. Now before you continue forward and go to the kind of natural pathway, again what you want to do is pick up this little sort of stick of dynamite out of the ground, but instead of throwing it where you're supposed to in front of you, go and throw it at the 2 areas on the right hand side. This will then allow you to jump into these windows, into these kind of cooling fans, and you can then basically get to the third puzzle piece. Following on from there, once you go through this pathway where there's basically a giant battery that was rolling down towards you, you want to go and stick to the left and drop down on these wooden platforms. That will then allow you to get into this secret cave, which will allow you to spawn the next artifact. And then finally, for the last puzzle piece, just before you leave this area, what you want to do is drop down to the left by the side of the jump platform for the final puzzle piece. Now for the next bit, we are into the swinging monkey mode. So for this one, basically as you're going throughout this area, you need to take some detours. So the first thing you want to do is, as you're zipping up at the top, grab onto the left pathway and then navigate your way across, following all the grab handles, and that'll get you puzzle piece number 1. As you then continue upwards, swinging up on the bars, you'll be able to get your second puzzle piece over on the left. Now there is a detour to the top left, but I actually went a slightly different route, so bear with me for the purpose of this guide. If you then swing further upwards and you continue to follow the poles, you can then get puzzle piece number 3 above you. From there, if you then drop down, you'll respawn, and at this point you can then reset and go back to that pole. Basically, from here you want to swing up to the top left, you want to follow those grab pathways, and that'll get you your artifact. Now, as you continue your way upwards, once again you get to the area where your puzzle piece previously was, but now you need to swing and go over to the right hand side to grab onto this small platform. It'll then reveal these spinning buttons, which you can navigate across to grab the next puzzle piece. And shortly after that, dropping down, we'll see you pull on a lever, which will spawn the next artifact. And that is it for this area. Moving on to the next stage, first thing you want to do is go to the right hand side and pull these cables to spawn these platforms out the ground. You can then jump on there to get puzzle piece number 1. From there, as you continue up the natural pathway, you get to the first checkpoint, stick to the left hand side, go down by the side of the cliff, and you can find puzzle piece number 2. As you then continue forward and you jump up off the jumping platform, instead of going forward, go to the right, jump across those wooden platforms, and you can pull these cables to get your first artifact. Once you cross over the cable past the wind to the next checkpoint, instead turn right and jump and hover over to that floating platform, perform a charge attack to spawn this new pillar, climb up this, and as you go up here you will get your next puzzle piece. Moving on from there, you can then get to the top, smash the glass, pull the cable for the next artifact. For the final puzzle piece, you need to defeat the boss first, and then as you're leaving, as you're crossing the cable, stop halfway, look at the gap through the wall, shoot that with your bow and arrow, cross over, and you can get the final puzzle piece. Now once again, we are back to monkey mode. This is similar principle to last time. You're going to need to take some detours. The first puzzle piece will require that you swing off the bar to the left-hand side. You can then make your way up to the top, and you can swing up to the second bar to grab the next puzzle piece. Then once you get to this area with these 3 bars, you need to swing yourself over to the right hand side so you can then drop down this little gap. Dropping down here will get you the third puzzle piece. Then as you grab on at the bottom, in order to spawn the final puzzle piece, what you actually need to do is climb down to the very last sort of climbing handle, and doing so will spawn the final puzzle piece. From there you can continue climbing upwards, grab onto the handle, and that'll spawn your artifact. And then to get the final one, I actually missed this one at the beginning, so if you just reset this level, go back to the start, when you get to this area where you can swing on the bar, you want to go over to the left where the first puzzle piece was, but what you actually want to do is grab onto the vine, swing across, climb your way up, and that'll get you your final artifact. Now with that complete, you now have all the artifacts and all the puzzle pieces from the main stages. What I would highly recommend doing now is going into the labo room, and then going to the back where the gacha machine is and spending all of your credits. Again, as mentioned, while the item order is somewhat randomized, there is a finite number of gacha items, so I believe you need in total around 6,000 credits, give or take. That's about what I had. And once you've done that and you've got all the gacha items, you'll get all the associated trophies. You get one for your first gacha item, another one for getting particular items like the trophies and other things like that, and of course you get one for having every single gacha item. It's important to do this because in order to get some of the final trophies, you need the labo room to be as full as possible. So, with this in mind, if you're missing the items, I would highly recommend at this point going back, farming some coins, completing the gacha, and we'll now turn our attention to some of the bespoke hidden trophies, some things that require some particular actions. First things first, back in the CPU Plaza, if you go around and you hit loads of the kind of other Astro boys, basically they will then begin following you. For one of the trophies, you need to have 20 people following you, so quite simply, hit 20 people, have them run after you, and you'll get the last guy trophy. On top of that, there is also a trophy for hitting 10 of them with a spin attack. So similar thing, once you've gathered your group, have them follow you, and then group them together, charge up a spin attack, and then cut your way through them, and you'll get the trophy Twisted Neo. Then going into the labo room, assuming now at this point you have most of, if not all of the artifacts, what you want to do is go over to the PlayStation 2 Slim, and you want to hit the logo to get the trophy This Way Up. Following on from there, to get the trophy I Recognize You, you want to go behind the PlayStation VR headset and hit the lens, and that will then pop the trophy. Now if you go behind the PlayStation 2 and climb up the ladder, what you basically want to do is jump across the PlayStation, jump across the guns, and get all the way to the very, very end, and then once you've got there and you get to the end of the motion control gun, you get the very far point. After that, if you return to the original PlayStation and you perform a hover jump over the open disc tray button, you will get the disc swap trophy. If you then go to the entrance of the labo room and you drop off the balcony, you'll see the Sony Interactive Entertainment sign. Performing a spin attack on this will change it to the original logo, and that'll get you the Super Computer trophy. Assuming you've obtained the gacha trophy icon, then if you go over to where the trophies are displayed on the side and use square to grab one of them, that'll then give you the You Got a Trophy trophy. And if you then go over to the PlayStation Home sign and you walk through it, that'll give you the trophy Honey, I'm Home. So those are all the trophies you need to get in the labo arena. Now there's a few more things that are basically bespoke actions that you can perform during the stages. Yes, you can also do these whilst you're playing through, but given that I did them in a different order, then I'm going to go through them now. You can use the stage select to jump exactly to where you need. So if you go to the Cooling Springs Hotel Hop-A-Lot, what you then want to do is get to the area where you go and smash the volleyballs. You need to basically jump up with the frog and keep the volleyball in the air for 5 hits to get the Keepy Uppies trophy. Also, since you're in this stage in the Hotel Hopalot one, make sure you go to the end of the stage, because once you get to the very end, you will then get to this area where there are 2 fountains either side of the pool, jump on one of them and then float for a bit and you'll get the Jumping Splash trophy. Now jumping over to the GPU Jungle Ray Trace Ruins, what you want to do is go to the area where you get the bow and you go to the bridge. And you'll see that when you drop the bridge, the green enemies spawn, you need to shoot one of their projectiles with your arrow to get the trophy ready for the proving. Now going back to Cooling Springs Frigid Flows, what you now want to do is go to the central ice area, go across the left, jumping across those PlayStation buttons, and you'll see an Astro Boy making a snowman. Push one of these snowballs around to get it big enough, and eventually the little Rolling Star trophy will pop. Now we're back to GPU Jungle again, Teraflop Treetops this time, back into the monkey suit, and for this one you need to fall 30 meters. The easiest way to do this is get to the area where there are 4 poles to swing. You jump up the first one, jump up the second one, grab onto the third one. You want to swing super high, but do not grab onto the final one because it will spawn kind of like a cloud beneath you, which will be a checkpoint. Instead, get as close to the 4th one as possible, but don't grab it, and then fall all the way to the bottom and grab onto the final bar. Doing this correctly will give you the no, no, no trophy. Still in the GPU Jungle, this time on Mount Motherboard, what you need to do is get all the way through the stage, get to the very end when you get to this snowy area, and then over to the left hand side you can pull some cables to spawn a chest which will give you a bow. Now around the arena you need to shoot the 6 bunny rabbits to get the quest Adequate Boy. So pretty simple, some are up on the cliff, some are down in front of you, shoot them, that's the trophy. Now jumping back over to the SSD Speedway, go to Deep Data Space. You want to go to the area where you get the minigun, and now when you spawn the minigun, what you want to do is hold down the square button to perform a charge attack, and then as you're doing that, fire your gun to get the Wild Arms achievement. One that I forgot to mention earlier, but back into Cooling Springs. If you go to Frigid Flows, this time right at the beginning of the stage, you want to go down to the icy platform, and as you're skating across, begin charging a spin attack, and when you're doing that, make sure you jump 3 times during your spin attack to get the trophy Twisting Metal. Then for the final 2 trophies, if you go to Memory Meadow Gusty Gateway, continue to the area where you jump up the platform and the big cloud begins blowing a gust of wind. Stay in the wind for a while and some trash will hit you for the trophy Pain. And then if you continue forwards and you get to the area where the bus stop is, standing underneath the bus stop to take shelter from the rain will get you the trophy Jason. With that now done, you should have all the trophies that you need for your Platinum. Keep in mind there is also DLC for Astro which gives you 3 additional trophies, but you don't need any of those for the Platinum. So that is now your complete guide to the Platinum in Astro's Playroom. Hope you guys found that helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down below, but otherwise, thanks for watching and keep it locked for plenty more. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the HyperX Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.